Walker Habernack pulled up on the side of the road and reached for the map, sitting in the passenger seat. He was supposed to meet Callum in another hour, but before he raced to the airport, he wanted a chance to check out a couple addresses he had in mind. He needed some information before he went all in. In his mind, in his heart, he wondered just what was going on here. But again, the frustration of not knowing much was evident. He just knew something bad was about to happen. Now, if only he were lucky enough to get there in time to stop it, that would be great. But this ugly sense inside him suggested that he was probably already too late. However, as a precog, he knew that sense of foreboding came because he was aware of what one avenue in the future could be, yet wouldn't necessarily turn out that way. He still had time to change things. He knew about Kim's brother at this point. He'd been filled in. Walker also understood that Levi was considering hiring Walker. It was supposed to be about getting his feet wet with the team, and this was a test job. But Walker also knew that wouldn't work. He hadn't told Terk that because whatever was going on, regardless of the bells ringing in his ears, Walker needed to be there. If only he knew why. And, because he didn't know, he was very edgy and short-tempered. He'd connected with Terk, but Terk was not the easiest person to talk to either, by far. Walker almost laughed at that. If there were ever two peas in a pod, they were him and Terk. But then probably a lot of psychics had a similar viewpoint. Walker went way back with Terk. Even now, Walker wanted something different in life and was trying to figure out how to find it. So he was looking at Terk sideways, wondering how he'd made everything in his life suddenly happen. It was worth a long conversation, but Walker wasn't sure if Terk would be open enough to share details. It was also possible that he would keep the information of how he'd pulled it off to himself. Walker had also blocked the psychic door to stop Terk from getting into his head. Terk was one of those guys who generally would not force it, but if he needed something, he wouldn't bother with niceties and then apologize afterward, which was okay in a true emergency. Still, Walker felt pressure that he didn't normally sense, and that made him uneasy right now. Terk would say that was all the more reason why Walker should be talking and keeping the doors open, letting everybody know that something was here, that something was happening, so that a bigger alert system would be in place, if and when it came to needing help. Walker didn't know Callum, but knew that he'd worked on Terk's team when they worked with the CIA. The fact that Terk had gone private was something Walker was still adjusting to. But maybe it went along with Terk having a woman in his life now. That was something most of them avoided on a long-term basis, just because it was too dangerous. Too much crap was going on in the world around them, and they couldn't really afford to have anybody tied up in it more than they were themselves. Nobody wanted to deal with the outcome and all that pressure that came from having somebody else to look after, even though in many cases there was just no choice because you were already hooked into the relationship, into the emotions, and it was pretty darn hard to change it. And if that happened to Terk, Walker could understand it, except that Terk was an old hand. That in itself told Walker that it had to be a very special woman to put Terk on this pathway to have a family. Walker heard the rumbling in the far recesses of his brain and shook his head. "No, Terk, not ready to talk to you yet." When that was followed by what Walker could only describe as a half-laugh, he groaned, then opened up his mind after all. "What?" Walker barked. "Well, now that's better," Terk replied easily. "I wanted to tell you that Callum's flight has been delayed by a good half hour." "I would have found that out when I checked the arrivals board," he muttered. "You didn't need to contact me for that." "No, but communication makes life a lot easier. How are you, by the way?" "Fine," he grumbled. "Or I will be if this damn urge will stop dragging me down this crazy pathway." Terk paused for a moment. "Sometimes we can do nothing but follow through on the messages we receive." "Doesn't mean I like it," Walker muttered.